Terry Bone, Royal Chief of the Tin Can Tourist. By the way, Royal Chief, love that. Up there with Grand Poobah and Czar of all space and time. Royal Chief of the Tin Can Tourist. Go to tincantourist.com. Head on over there, and it's exactly when you hear what it is, man, you are going to be like, this is just the coolest thing. It's the original vintage trailer and camper club. I kid you not. Let me repeat myself. As I said at the top of this half hour, Lindsay, as I said at the top of this half hour, this is like perfect for what it is we're hoping to achieve here.
Yep.
They love vintage trailers as much as everybody else who loves vintage trailers do. And they are looking for friends. They're looking for members. If you, in fact, join them at tincantourist.com, you can be a part of the oldest and best trailer club in the whole wide world. Doesn't matter how old, how big, or how small, or what the shape is, or if you tow or drive it, restored or not. Man, go to Tin Can Tourist. Let's say good morning to Terry Bone. How are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you guys? I was enjoying the coffee talk. I'm a coffee lover myself.
Well, how are you drinking some right now?
No, I've already had my limit. I always have 2 cups in the morning and then maybe a cup in the afternoon.
Okay. And are you more of a ritual person, or I got to have my coffee in order to function?
I'm more of a ritual. I don't need it at this point to function. I'm retired, so I could probably get by without it.
Like, listen, look what we're about to talk about. I live a very cool life. Let's start. Speaking of cool life, Terry, I got to start with the obvious question. Your title is Royal Chief. Now, do you actually
Yeah.
get some sort of crown with that, or is that like
Uh,
is that a business card situation? What does that mean?
so it's a business card situation, but it's historically correct. So when the club started, they named their leaders either Royal Chiefs, or my favorite is they called them Royal Tin Can Openers.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I always like a good origin story. Lindsay and I love a good origin story. Tell us about your own love affair with vintage trailers, when it started, and then we can actually pivot
Pivot.
into the tincantourist.com. But tell us about your own love for vintage trailers, Terry.
Sure. So let's see, I think I'm 5 vintage trailers deep at this point. Started with a little small canned ham, a 1957 Sportcraft. It was 15 foot long, so you could barely stand up and turn around in it. And so my love of vintage trailers really started with my parents. They they got involved in vintage Airstreams to start with. So there was always a vintage Airstream that was in the driveway, and we did some camping with it. At first, we were doing tent camping, and then it evolved to vintage trailers. And the reason why it evolved to vintage trailers was my dad was a teacher, and you couldn't buy Airstream new on a teacher's salary. So, but you could buy a vintage Airstream pretty reasonably priced back in, say, the 80s, and then restore it and have a beautiful trailer that you could camp in.
Well,
Um,
oh, sorry. Keep
yeah.
going.
No, go ahead.
No. I cut you off.
Okay. So talking about the club, the origin of the club, it's a very old club. So the club's been around since 1919. It really started because that's when people had the capability to go on vacations affordably. So that's when the Model T was around, and that's what really allowed people to move around the country. Roads weren't great. There were, some campgrounds that they could go to. The club really started when people in the north started going down to Florida. And in 1919, there was a group of people that ended up at one campground called DeSoto Park. It's still there. I visited it last year. It's in Tampa. And they were there sitting around talking about how camping was growing, and they were seeing problems that this growing hobby was creating. So they were seeing where people were showing up at campgrounds and they weren't taking care of the parks. And they felt that they needed to start an organization to make sure that as when people were camping, people wanted them to come back. So they created this small group. There were 20 people at this park at the time, and they wanted to create a club around three principles. One was to unite fraternally all auto campers, and you can see what they chose auto campers because that's what they were all traveling by, and it was usually the Model T. And they would have tents and attachments on their vehicles to allow them to sleep. The second principle was around providing clean and wholesome entertainment at all meetings or campouts. So at that time, and still to somewhat today, it was a tradition around the campfire to tell stories, sing, and play musical instruments. The third principle was to spread the gospel of cleanliness at all camps and to help enforce the rules governing all public campgrounds. So in my view, the TCT was kind of the first to adopt the leave no trace approach. They wanted communities to want them to come back and not be looked at as vagabonds. So it was in the fall of 1919 and winter of 1920, these snowbirds were coming down, spending multiple months down there. They created what now is called the Tin Can Tourist. They created a constitution and bylaws, and they elected J.M. Morrison as their first leader. And they did give him the title of the Royal Tin Can Opener. The group grew like crazy over the years. And at certain points in time, it had members over 200,000. It was free to join. You just had to be kind of recommended by another Tin Can Tourist and then go through a little orientation process. And then it got so big that communities were vying to get the club to hold events in their communities because at that point they were bringing in thousands of visitors to communities, mostly down in Florida. And even trailer manufacturers use the events to show off their latest model. So it was kind of like the current, like Camping World, where they set up these large new introduction events. It was just a big deal. And unfortunately, like a lot of really good things, it kind of faded away into the 70s.
So you said you've used the word club obviously multiple times, but I hear this: unite under a wholesome environment, and then go forth and prosper and spread the love. So, with over 51,000 people here, like to me, this isn't just a club; this is a movement. It seems, and has been for quite some time, of course. So, what is, with that being said, the common thread that keeps people sticking around? You've said that the values that you're uniting under, but what do you see, especially today and maybe post-COVID, why you think people, yourself included, see this as sort of a necessary part of their life?
Yeah. So my parents changed it. They restarted the club. The club faded away, like I said, in the 1970s. In the 90s, my dad was the president of the Vintage Airstream Club. And he heard these stories about this club that kind of disappeared. And he always had it in mind, instead of being involved in a club that only focused on one manufacturer or one make, that he wanted to do something that had a lot more diversity. And so he restarted the club in 1998 as an all make and model vintage trailer club. So it's grown since then. What are we now? 28 years into it. And what drives people to the club is, one, they probably have a vintage trailer and they want to learn from others. Maybe they're restoring a vintage trailer, and so they want to be able to ask questions, or they could have gone to one of our events. So at each one of our events on Saturdays, and usually in the afternoon, we offer an open house, just like car shows do, where people can come. The difference between the trailer and the car is, when you come, you don't just look at the outside, because you don't, that's nice, but the true beauty of the vintage trailer is on the inside. So most of our members allow people to walk inside their trailers, and our members love to talk about their trailer and their restoration process. But the difference, of a vintage trailer compared to a trailer today is just the craftsmanship, the woodwork, and of course, our members decorate to the time period of the trailer. And, I think what people love about it is when they step inside that, they kind of step back in time. And a lot of them go in and go, oh man, this was just like my parents, or oh man, we used to camp like this. And, it is a different experience camping and being inside a vintage trailer as compared to camping inside a modern trailer, because it doesn't have all of the, TVs and things like that. A lot of times when we're camping side by side with a modern trailer, they kind of pull in and everything sets itself up and you don't quite see people much. But with a vintage trailer, you don't spend too much time inside. You tend to spend time outside around a campfire with other people. I think it just brings people back to a moment in their life that they really loved. And that's kind of the value of vintage trailer clubs and vintage trailer rallies.
So cool. Jim, I keep hearing Mitch Hedberg going, I order the club sandwich all the time. I'm not even a member. How do I get away with it? That's what it keeps blowing through my mind every time he says club. But Jim, you want to be a member of this club, don't you?
I do. I do, by the way. And I want to give people an example of how wonderful this is. So tomorrow in Marysville, Michigan, and the day after that over in the Catskill Mountains, Gilboa KOA Holiday in New York, there are going to be themed vintage camper and car shows. Just for instance, in the Catskills, it's going to be either $87 a night or $0 for participating if you show your units from 1 to 3 p.m. on Saturday. I think, Lindsay, this is so terrific because I don't know if you guys know this, it's National Folklore Day, and you've been talking about campfires, sitting around the campfire and telling stories. And in many ways, this actually, because, you were listening to our coffee conversation earlier, and Lindsay's idea of using coffee as a way of creating space, either for reflection or conversation. In many ways, what you're really talking about here is not just these trailers or these campers. What we're really talking about is a piece of machinery that allows you to go someplace and either collect your thoughts on your own or get together with like-minded people and sit around a campfire. I mean, it really is taking your home to a place where you actually can light a fire and sit around it with other people and tell stories. You're creating a neighborhood of storytellers and of people who want to recapture the past. It's so cool, Lindsay. I mean, it's beyond just the idea I've got a cool one and you've got a cool one. We'll meet at the parking lot at the truck stop.
I want to show up with. Do sing-alongs happen at these campfires?
We always have a band usually at our rallies, so cool. We'll have a big musical event. But a lot of our members are musicians, and they'll bring their guitars and things like that. So around the campfire there'll be singing. I want to kind of comment on the, that this is kind of an avenue to getting people around a campfire. It was a few years ago. My parents were being considered for induction into the RV and Motorhome Hall of Fame in Elkhart, and we asked some of our members to describe, why they joined the club and what the club meant to them. And it was really touching and unbelievable to hear all the stories of people who said, we joined because we had a vintage trailer. But once we joined, we made lifelong friends that we keep in touch with, and how the club changed people's lives. And that's really important. We see this a lot. People kind of join for the trailer, they come to event, they make friends, and then they keep coming back because of the friends. The trailer is a cool thing, and people love their trailers. People love their vintage tow vehicles that they tow the trailers with. But it's the friends and relationships that keep them coming back to the club.
Come for the trailers, stay for the memories. I will.
Exactly.
It's the new T-shirt. This is. It's. Did you see anything change? I'm curious. Like from COVID to now,
Mm.
did you see more people that maybe wouldn't have necessarily spoken to them before COVID get into it, or vice versa? Did you see any of that happening?
We did. We saw, in Michigan, due to kind of some of the lockdowns and restrictions, we saw a lot of people get involved in camping, and our club grew after COVID. The first year we had some challenges. Our rallies are really an opportunity for people to get together and gather, so that was a little difficult. But we kept things going in 2020, 2021 as best we could. Post that, when we could get back to holding a true rally event, our numbers of new members at rallies really boomed. I think we're now on the downside of that a little bit, where people are back to work and back to maybe not having as much time to be able to spend. And we're seeing a lot more trailers kind of showing up for sale in our vintage and our classified ad system on our website. But it definitely grew quite a bit because it was something that people could do. They could get out, they could enjoy the outdoors, and still be able to, be around other vintage trailer members and be able to check out the really cool stuff people are bringing to our events.
What is the next thing you're looking forward to?
Mm.
And in regards to that's coming up, tell us.
Yeah. We've got something really big we're working on. So besides rallies, one of the things we do with our members is what's called a caravan. So a caravan is, moving, many miles. And there usually may be a week and a half types of trips where you go from campground to campground to end objective. We've done caravans for the National Road, for Route 40, some of the significant anniversaries for some of our highway systems and things like that. Well, there's a big one next year, and that's Route 66 is having their 100-year anniversary, and there's all kinds of clubs planning events next year around Route 66 to be able to travel it and enjoy some of the festivals that are being planned. Well, we're doing that, and we're planning a caravan that's going to start early in June and go for about the same, about a week and a half. And I'm planning and working on the eastern side of the Route 66 caravan, and we've got others who are working on a western side of Route 66, and we plan to meet in the middle, which is Amarillo, Texas. And Amarillo, Texas is planning a 2-week festival in the first half of June. And our caravan from the east is going to start up around Springfield, Illinois, travel all the way down. It's going to take us. We're not going to rush because we got vintage tow vehicles and we got vintage trailers, and we want to be able to explore a bit as we go down. So we're only planning on about 200 to 250 miles a day. It's going to take us about 5 days to get down there. We're going to actually leave from a rally in southwest Michigan. So a lot of us are planning to attend a rally there and then leave immediately from there, which will be on a Sunday, and work our way down to Amarillo, get there on Thursday, and spend the weekend, which is their final weekend of the festival, and just have a great time down there. Along the way, we're expecting to pick up people. So I think we're hoping to get 25 people on the formal caravan, but people can join us along the way. Maybe they live already, closer to Texas, and they'll just hop in as they go. We've got a big RV resort it's called the Big Texan RV Resort. They're holding a bunch of spots for us, and then we're going to arrive there and enjoy their Route 66 festival when we get there.
This is so cool, and you can be a part of it too, guys. If you want to find out more how you can get to Amarillo by morning in a trailer for sale or rent, head on over to 10cantourists.com. Terry Bone, it's been such a pleasure. People head on over there. You can check out their Facebook group, be a part of it. Maybe this is something you want to get into, and a way to spend your weekends with the group, make some friends, make some memories. Thank you, Terry. Have the best days. Thanks for making time for us.
Hey, I enjoyed the conversation. Thanks a lot.